would really not recommend coming to Italy to study. This might not be what you wanted to hear about Italy, but I wanted to make this video because I don't want other people to have the experience that I did. I'm not a blogger, I'm not a YouTuber. I'm just a master's student here in Milan, in Italy, and I'm studying mechanical engineering. And I've been having a really, really tough time with everything related to Italy since I got here and even before. So I wanted to just tell you a few points about what you need to expect if you are wanting to apply to a master's program here. So I'm from India, so I don't expect things to be easy in terms of bureaucracy and paperwork and getting things done. Of course, it's not that efficient in India, but Italy is a whole nother level. One, because we don't speak the language or maybe you do speak some Italian. Like me, I spoke a little bit of Italian when I got here, and still everything is really difficult to navigate because everything is in Italian and everyone you speak to only speaks Italian. Even the Italian visa application back in India was not easy. There was really a lot of documents that we need to get. That was fine because it's a visa, which is a really important thing for the government to check that everything is right. So okay, you apply for the visa, and most of the people that I've met here had their visa delayed. Like all the people coming from India, maybe it was because of the pandemic, like getting over because I came here in 2022, but people arrived late, people didn't get their visa on time. And me myself, I had an issue because my passport was supposed to be sent back to me and it never arrived. And 2 days before I was about to leave for Italy, I was panicking because it hadn't arrived, and I was trying to contact the embassy and they were not really replying to me. And I had to go to Bombay to go get my passport physically from them because they didn't give me any information about where it was. So that was not pleasant. The issue is that the visa that they give you is only for 1 year. And when you arrive in Italy, you're supposed to apply for the Permesso di Soggiorno, which is the residence permit that they have here. And you have to do that within 7 days. And for that, you need to pay again. You have to pay again money. You have to assemble a bunch of documents and get copies and everything. And you submit the application. And then once you submit the application, they give you a receipt with the date of which you have your appointment. And the appointment is for, you have to go to the police station, you have to give them your more documents, and they take your fingerprints and your height and everything to put you in the police record. And that appointment for most people is months after you get here. So if you submit your application once you get here, say in September, your appointment just to get those fingerprints done can be in December, January, February, March. Like I had friends who got it 6 months later. So without that Permesso di Soggiorno, there's a lot of other things that you can't apply for. So that document is really important. And then the worst part is the Permesso di Soggiorno, it basically expires the same time as your visa expires. So in 1 year. So if you got your appointment really late, say in January, you go, you do your fingerprints. Then after a month, they call you to collect the Permesso, which again, you go to the police station, you spend the whole day there. You can be waiting for hours and hours, even though you have your appointment time. That doesn't matter. You can spend the whole day there. And then if you got it in January, it might expire in September. So you have to renew it for the second year if you're doing a 2 years master's, and then further you have to keep renewing it as long as you're in Italy. So when you renew it, you have to pay again, you have to get all the documents again, you have to submit the application, you have to wait for another appointment and do the fingerprints again, and then get your permesso again after a month after your appointment. And for example, for me, I wanted to travel back to India in summer because I had break and my permesso was gonna expire while I was away. So I was really stressed out about what I can do about it because it said that you can only apply for a renewal 2 months before it's going to get expired. But I was going to leave more than 2 months. But I just decided to do it. So I submitted the application for the renewal and I got the receipt saying that I have applied for the renewal. And with that, I traveled back home. When I arrived back in Italy, my permesso was expired, but I had the receipt, so they let me in. But if you're flying back into Europe through another country that's not Italy, say I had to take a layover in France or in Germany or in Spain, wherever, they would not have allowed me because that receipt is not valid in other countries. So while you're waiting for your Permesso di Soggiorno to get renewed, you only have the receipt, and that receipt is not valid in any of the other Schengen areas. So if you have to travel to any other country within Schengen, you can't do that. So before I left for Italy, when I had applied for the renewal, they'd give me a date for the appointment, which was during the time I was not going to be in India. So I emailed them saying that I'm not going to be here for the appointment. Please, can you give me a new appointment in October when I come back? And they said, just email us when you come back and we'll give you an appointment. And then I arrived back here in September and I went to the police station. Well, I emailed them, they didn't reply. I emailed them again, they didn't reply. After 2 weeks, I went to the police station. I said, I've been here for 2 weeks, I'm waiting for an appointment. They said that we sent you multiple messages for different appointments and you missed it. And I was like, yes, because I was not in the country, so I didn't have a working Italian phone number. They don't email you, and there's a portal where they have the information, but there's no way to contact them. So you just see that you have an appointment, but you can't do anything about it. And then they said, um, you'll have to you'll have to create a PEC account, which is like a certified email account, and email this person using that account, explaining to them why you are not in the country, which was ridiculous because it was summer vacation. So that's why I was not in the country. There was no official reason for me not to be there. I'd finished my exams, I'd passed my exams, so I decided to go home. And then they didn't help me. And then after a week, I kept emailing, nothing happened. I went back again to the police. They finally replied to my email saying that my case is in discussion. And then nothing happened for a while. I went back to the police station. They said, your case is in discussion. I don't know. We can't do anything about it. And I'm still stuck. And today I'm going again to the police station to try to talk to them in Italian and explain to them and try to get an appointment, which they're not willing to give me, even though an appointment is just for 5 minutes to take the fingerprints and the height and everything. And it's been really frustrating. And I was planning to travel during the December vacation, and I can't leave Italy because I don't have the Permesso di Soggiorno. Apart from just this renewal process and the bureaucracy with the Permesso, I had another huge issue with trying to get my health insurance because, of course, it's illegal to be here without your health insurance as a foreigner. And when I initially came, I had health insurance from India, but that expired. And I tried to get the Italian health insurance. I went to the office here. The public health department has an office where you're supposed to be able to get this. I filled the form and I paid the money for the insurance. And I went there and they said that they're not able to enter my details into the system from the Permesso di Soggiorno. And then they said that they don't know what the issue was, but it's something with the tax code and the Permesso. And then I realized that on my Permesso di Soggiorno, the tax code was wrong. And that's not something that was my mistake because I sent them the tax code document. So someone, while copying it, made a mistake. Then I had to go to the revenue department, and they said that it's not their problem. If it's wrong on the Permesso, I have to go to the police. And I went to the police, and they said that it's not their fault. This has not got to do anything with the police. This has got to do with the tax and the revenue. And I was just going from one office to the other, trying to figure out what the issue was. I didn't even understand what the issue was. And finally, I found someone from the health department who told me that it's not actually the issue with the tax code, it's an issue with the address. It's because my tax code was not linked to a permanent address, and that was the issue. And then when I went to fix that, in the revenue department, they said that they needed like a contract showing that I lived in that place, and I didn't have that because I was staying with relatives, and so I didn't have a contract like with my name on it. So I couldn't figure it out, and then I had to go back to the health department and ask for a refund, because otherwise it would just my money would have just been gone. So I did that, and then I received my money back after 3 months in my bank account. Oh, speaking of bank accounts, I had a scholarship from my university, and when I arrived here, they said you have to open a bank account within 2 months, and if you don't do that, we're not going to give you the um, the scholarship. And you can't open a bank account if you don't have a Permesso di Soggiorno. And like I said, it takes a while for that to happen. So I was going from bank to bank, begging them to whether they can let me open an account, and all of the banks said no, we don't allow foreigners to have a bank account. And finally I had to open a bank online, um, and it was, yeah, it was a lot of work, and it was very stressful. And like I said in the beginning of this video, I'm from India, so I don't have high expectations as to things being super efficient, things being very clear and fast. Of course, we have huge bureaucracy issues in our country too, but at least people are nice and people help you, in a sense that people will explain to you what's going on. And if you go to an office, for example, and you're finding it hard to understand what's going on, like other people in who are also waiting would help you. And here that's not at all the case. Like people are very rude, and they're not interested in talking to you if you don't speak Italian. And even people, in office and stuff, who you'd expect would know at least a little bit of English, don't. So you feel very alone. Also, at least if you come from a third world country like me, everything here is very expensive, and when things don't work, you don't have the option of just paying more. For example, if here the transport system is generally good, but sometimes there's strikes, and sometimes the buses don't show up, or they're late, or they're canceled, or they're not on time, like even with the trains. And if you're stuck somewhere and you can't get home because the bus is canceled or the train is canceled, like we can't have the luxury of just booking an Uber for 100 euros. Like that, we don't have that kind of money as students, and from especially foreign students. So those kind of situations can be really difficult. Of course, they can happen in any country, but yeah, there's a level of disorganization here that you may not get in other European countries. For example, oh, another thing that's really difficult here is finding housing. Like it was a really, really, really hard struggle, and everyone I know went through the same thing. Because if you try to book something in advance, you might get scammed, because you don't. There's a lot of people scamming in different platforms, and so many people thought that they would come here, look for a place, and then start renting, and that's not at all easy, because the demand versus what's available is very, very little, and prices are really high. So if you come here thinking that you're going to find housing once you arrive here, you might spend weeks in a hotel, and that can be a lot of money. I know that Milan is supposed to be one of the more organized cities in Italy, so I can't even imagine how it would be in, I don't know, Naples or Rome or some other smaller, well, not smaller, but more supposedly chaotic place. Um, and I haven't even talked at all about academics, which itself is a huge challenge, because the system here is that you just have the final exam and no other, um, your whole grade just depends on the final exam. And so the system is just like people try the exam and they fail, and then they try again, and then they fail, and they just keep trying until you pass. So that is something that you need to know if you're going to come here for your master's. So again, of course, this is my experience, and other people might have a much nicer experience, and it depends on your luck. But I do know a lot of my friends who went through the same thing, and not just Indians, people from all across the world who come to Italy have faced a lot of issues regarding these things. So I would say be very cautious, and really think about why you want to study in Italy. Italy, of course, is beautiful. There's a lot of nature, the lakes, the beaches, the scenes that you see. I mean, those are real, those are nice, but that's not what you're coming here to do. You're coming here to study and to live. And if you want to do vacations, of course, you can come another time, maybe. I would really not recommend coming to Italy to study, unfortunately.